And this is part of being a spiritual nomad, right? Not holding on, not defining. But we have to be in movement first, because as what we often do is that we are stuck in all of this and we say, yes, I'm moving. No, we're not. Because this is basically the luggage we're carrying around, all our precious definitions. And when we start looking at how that can accumulate even more resistance, right? Because you have learned, yes, but then the next step, you haven't. And then you have this luggage filled with definitions that you find so useful because, after all, you've understood things now. And they can't be used in that new space because you have to learn everything from scratch. Once, as I've explained, once you change one digit, the whole mathematical equation changes. And that's it. It doesn't matter if the change is something is small. It changes everything. So, and when you are then attached to your definitions, you will be in a maximum amount of resistance because you believe that what you know and what you've figured out so far is true. Right? You'll go like, well, life has taught me this. My experience tells me this. I've been shown this. Yeah, until this moment. But your future is about everything you haven't learned yet, what you haven't seen. And going into a more expanded awareness and this expanded version. So it's that, right? And always, always working on letting go of the luggage. Truly just like, So learn to undefine. And just whenever you look at something, whatever it is, understand that, I think I understand what I'm looking at. Except I don't. I make assumptions. I have labels. I project them. And I want them to be true. And then I learn nothing. And just see how you can remove as many stickers as possible. Because it's not only the definition, it's also the price tag, as we've talked about. You decide based on my understanding what this is. I place this now on the right shelf in my own hierarchy based on my value system. Very useful for everyone, right? But it's, the brain doesn't stop. But we can. And it's also seeing through the complete ridiculousness of this biological practice. Because you can't awaken fully, or even partially, as long as you do this. It takes so much work. So when you can understand, you can just get rid of all of it. But you have to look at how you define, look at your current definitions and the process of creating these labels, and decide, no, not interesting. I open myself to transformation. It doesn't just mean that I transform, but everything around me transform. Because also, one thing in spiritual work that is so funny to me is that, often for us to dedicate ourselves to spiritual work, everything has to be in place. Right? And so many people, I need my this, there, that, there. I need my yoga mat here. I need my yoga pants. I need the cup of tea. I need to be in my special place. I need to play this music, this and that. And people just need to shut the fuck up. I don't want to deal with this people. My family sucks. I just need my space. Then I can focus. Complete control, complete definitions. And then I can transform. But you don't allow anyone else to transform. Nothing around you, because the moment it moves, it annoys you. Everything should be in its place so you can transform. I'm sure you've experienced this in yourself and others, and it's part of it, right? It's part of being a child in spiritual work, but yeah. it's important, again, that we see through a lot of these games, because you need to allow everything to grow and transform. Because when you project definitions, you're actively trying to hold someone back from their journey so that you may travel, right? We're all traveling together, all of us. And we need to recognize that no matter, if we understand it or not, we're all spiritual nomads. Even when someone is completely stuck in something, right? They're still a nomad. At some point, they will move. They will figure it out. But it's for you to show your level of transformation by letting everything around you always change and be themselves, no matter what it is. And for you to discover and rediscover and rediscover and rediscover and enjoy that process. And to be in that dialogue in transformation. So whenever something inside you changes, you know that, oh, well, that means that everything around me also has changed. I don't need to hold on to anything. I can rediscover. I can also mirror that process of change to inspire others. So do not try to create permanence and all of that, right? Allow everything to transform before your very eyes. Because each step of the way means that everything grows, everything changes. You should see this kind of cascade of expression in life and journeys of every single particle, every single life form that is also part of your landscapes. So when you move, everything should move with it. And that's the journey. If something is standing still in your images, you're trying to control them. So anticipate change. I think it's especially important to practice whenever you have labeled someone in a way that is negative, right? If you've been triggered or that you feel they've done something they shouldn't, those labels we often get an attachment to because we want them to be that way, so we can punish them. You're just a terrible person, so there. I labeled you, so now you're a terrible person. You will not change until I allow it, right? Because that's how we think about people. And often we don't want people to change because then we can live in our stories. And our stories will be true. Set people free. And especially practice this when you have labeled someone in a negative way. Understand that's not who they are. We're all trying to figure out our own karma, which means that, yeah, we do unsavory things. We behave in imbalanced ways whenever we are, trying to interact with the karma we haven't figured out. We all do that. And sometimes we are in that meeting and interaction with someone when they are going through something they need to experience. So anticipate growth, anticipate healing. And always try to see like whatever they do, that's just part of what they're studying. Try to lift them, try to lift yourself, because sometimes, as you know, people label themselves in a negative way. Then try to show them that their definitions are not true also when it comes to themselves. It's a journey of eternity. It's a transformation that never ends. Try to show that.